Good morning and welcome back to the Livingston Parish News Morning Show. My name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. Appreciate you guys joining us this morning. If you're watching us live, thank you for that. If you are, and of course Facebook keeps these videos on our Facebook page, so you can go back and check them out at your leisure. If you're watching us online on our website, we do appreciate that. We do upload these shows to www.livingstonparishnews.com/podcast. We do also have a coronavirus page on our website, which is free. You can check out anytime during the day. We're constantly updating it. Some people like to check it out first thing in the morning. Some people like to check it out in the evening, just to see what happened the day before. It is free at this time, so please check that out. Of course, we are in phase 1 of the economic reopening, some people going back to work. However, according to the traffic, it doesn't look like that many people are returning to work. At least, traffic is relatively clear this morning. Minor delays at 190 4H Club Road and River Road. Minor delays at 190 in Range. Minor delays on 64 heading into Central, and I-12 looking relatively clear. So that may just be because, schools aren't back in session, not a whole lot of traffic from people trying to drop them off at work or off at school and go to work. Could be any number of things, but at this point, traffic's still looking relatively clear this morning. It's currently 66 degrees, beautiful day today, going to get up to 83, 64 degrees your overnight low, but it is going to be sunny. Of course, as we can see, the sun is already popped out, and it's a beautiful day so far. Looking at these mitigation efforts, before we get into anything else, please remember to wash your hands with soap and water for 20 seconds or more. Disinfect common surfaces at home and at the office. We had a chance to talk with Mr. Jim Chapman on Friday. You can check that podcast out on our coronavirus page or our podcast page. We talk a lot about how his business has gone through coronavirus, how it's dealt with that. But one of the interesting things he brought up, and we're going to try to cut that clip out and put it out there, is he wants to make sure that people remember when you're disinfecting those common surfaces, please remember to read the bottle of disinfectant. It may need to sit on that surface for anywhere for 10 to 15 minutes to truly be effective in killing a virus. So please remember, read those bottles when you are disinfecting. Wear a mask in public if at all possible. Don't touch your face. Control your cough or your sneeze with your elbow or a tissue. 6 feet of distance between yourself and others in public. No more than 10 to a gathering, preferably less. And stay home to work if at all possible. And stay home if you are sick. Utilize telehealth to get in touch with your doctor. And actually, before we get into these coronavirus statistics, I want to let folks know Livingston Parish waterways are closed due to those heavy rains that we got at the end of last week and a little bit of rain over the weekend. However, I want to also remind folks with regard to those heavy rains to get a game plan. We're moving steadily towards hurricane season. We'll start officially June 1st. So please remember, local officials want to remind folks, figure out, go to the NOAA website or the the National Weather Center out of New Orleans, wherever you'd like to get your updates. Of course, we do funnel both of those sources through our website. If you want to check us, you can also check some of the larger media out of Baton Rouge. But the best thing you can do is to stay in touch with those media. Try to see what the updates are, especially in the event of a large hurricane. We have a game plan depending on what could happen as we move into hurricane season. So please remember that's starting in 2 weeks. It's here. Currently in Louisiana, you're looking at 34,432 coronavirus cases, 22,608 recovered. That number will, of course, be updated today. 265,000 total tests, 1,019 hospitalized on 111 ventilators, 2,425 deaths. In Livingston Parish, there are 348 cases, 25 deaths on 4,200 tests. So, moving into what the governor talked about Friday, of course, we're not entirely sure when his press conference will be today. We will keep you updated as they let us know. He has a conference call with the White House at 2:30, so his normal time was not available. So we will catch him when he does get on the mic. But on Friday, he talked a lot about what's going on in phase one and how that's going to work. So it's going to be interesting to see how things go over the next couple of weeks. Of course, the incubation period for COVID-19 is anywhere from 10 to 14 days. So it's going to be a while before we get to see the effect of phase one and how it affects those COVID-19 total numbers. But in the meantime, things are opening. Roughly a 25% capacity is kind of the benchmark or baseline, you can say, for a lot of these businesses trying to see how it's going to work, get people used to sort of this new way to do things. One of the things that are a few things that are part of one thing, which is testing, are all going up. Obviously, we're up to 265,000 total coronavirus tests in Louisiana. They're looking to do 200,000 in May. Going to have to do a lot over the next 2 weeks. However, they're also doing contact tracing. So this week, you're supposed to start hearing calls from the contact tracers. They have a number, by the way. The number is 1-877-766-2130. Now, you can't call that number. They will call you from that number. So I know that there are two different camps out there. Please remember that the contact tracing program is optional. You do not have to participate. Some people may take that number and put it in their phone and then block it. And some people may put that phone in their number just to know who they're getting a call from. Again, that's 877-766-2130 is the number that the Louisiana Department of Health is contracted with for their contact tracing program. Of course, contact tracing is the investigative healthcare that's being done at the state level to try to attack if there's any kind of spike or surge in cases in a specific area. They're going to try to attack it as quickly as possible. Not releasing necessarily any names or any kind of information like that, but just warning people you might have been in contact with someone who had COVID-19. You may want to quarantine for 14 days, that sort of thing. So please remember that number again is 877-766-2130. Also announced at the governor's press conference was that the DMV in Livingston will be reopening during phase one. However, didn't really give a time for that. They could be open today. We started the show before their normal opening hours, but hopefully tomorrow we'll have an answer if you're looking for them. You, of course, can also give the DMV a call we'll try to figure out what day exactly they're going to be reopening, because I know there's a lot of pent-up demand for being able to go in to affect certain services. According to officials, specifically Ms. Ava Dejoie, who is the Louisiana Workforce Commission secretary, unemployment in Louisiana, the unemployment fund has 16 weeks of solvency before the state will have to borrow money to supply it. In all of 2019, 103,000 people received $153 million worth of benefits. Just through COVID-19 alone, 400,000 people have received $1.4 billion. That includes $323 million from the state. Louisiana is, of course, a top 5 state with regard to unemployment. I believe at the moment we are third. So one of the things that she has warned both lawmakers and the governor himself is that eventually this money will run out. There are benchmarks along the way once the fund reaches certain points where the money will slow down a little bit. They won't give as much. Of course, there is a cap on state level benefits at $247, and there is a cap of $600 from the federal government, which is sort of an enhancement. Now, one of the things that lawmakers at the federal level are trying to pass is something to keep any kind of payment you get from the federal level to be less or equal to the salary you had going into coronavirus and being laid off and having to take unemployment. So it's going to be interesting to see if that bill gets through, but more on the federal government in just a second. Governor wants to remind folks to please continue practicing those mitigation efforts, trying to get these people who are unemployed back employed, trying to move towards phase 2 and 3 as quickly as possible. Of course, you can't move into those phases until you kind of get through that first little incubation period to see what happens as you're moving through phase 1. So please remember, if a business asks you to wear a mask, they're just asking you to do the right thing in terms of these mitigation efforts and trying to keep these from spreading. And please remember to wash your hands and disinfect common surfaces, especially one thing that's not mentioned a whole lot is your vehicle. you're getting in and out of places, going in and out of places to run errands and stuff like that, remember to wipe down your vehicle. It's always a good thing to do. It's something that a lot of people don't really think about, but especially if you are running errands, it tends to be a place that gets touched a lot of things touching your vehicle, your car. Good thing to wipe it down at the end of the day. Congressman Garrett Graves over the weekend announced that he voted no for the HEROES Act, which is a fresh and brand new Democratic $3 trillion stimulus package. It was according to Graves and several other lawmakers, it was a very partisan package. It passed by a slim margin, about 8 votes, and will head to the Senate, according to Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. They're not in any hurry to get into this deal. They might actually wait until after Memorial Day, which of course is May 31st. So it's going to be, or it might not necessarily be May 31st, but it's the last Monday in May. So it could be another week or two before they even jump into that. And Graves said that he was not happy with some of the pieces of the puzzle, including some of the laws they wanted that didn't even really have a financial effect on individuals. Graves said that he does agree that some sort of coronavirus stimulus is probably going to have to come in June. He does believe that. He just didn't think that this was it. It will be interesting to see how the Senate handles it and if they amend it or if they just kill it. So time will tell on that one. It will be a couple of weeks before they look at it. All of that comes on the heels of the federal debt reaching $25 trillion. I know that's a large number. It's hard to wrap your head around, but there is quite a large debt service to pay off month over month. Of course, the first round of coronavirus stimulus is expected to have increased that debt by nearly $6 trillion just because of some cascading effects of some of the money that was spent. The April deficit for the federal government was nearly $740 billion. So, of course, that's just adding fuel to the fire with regard to the federal debt level. So that's something to keep in mind. Of course, we remember, if you'll remember, we mentioned the Republicans are looking to trim some of that fat. Part of it is, capping out what people receive in unemployment benefits. Also trying to stop some of these things, including something Senator John Kennedy is working on, which was a lot of people who filed taxes in 2019 who may have passed away, are receiving checks, and families are not sending them back to the Treasury. So things like that. Making sure that there's an appropriate death registry at the IRS and things of that nature is important, and they're trying to pass law to make sure that is affected in the future. Lots of school stuff coming out over the weekend. A couple of good things, a couple of interesting things. Let's get into it. There's a summer enrichment program, which is trying to help kids K through 12, or really, I guess you could say K through 11, moving into 12, catch back up or try to get a head start on next year. They're offering ELA and math programs. If you are interested, you can call 225-686-4294. Again, that's 225-686-4294, or you can call your school. Whatever school your child attends, and talk to the administration there. They are paying for this 17-day program through the CARES Act. That's money received from the CARES Act, and trying again to help these kids get either caught up or a head start on next year. It will start next week, so you need to make that call this week if you're interested in it. Again, it's 17 days and it'll last until mid-June. There is also a fund that is replacing all meals for those individuals who would have, during those last 2 months when kids were out of school because of coronavirus, would have received reduced costs or free meals from the school. The federal government has now released a new fund that you can apply for at louisianabelieves.com. And that will allow you to receive monetary compensation for those free meals, so you can try to get your kids fed at home. Again, that's louisianabelieves.com. There was a national poll that was done back towards the end of April going into May. Now, granted, these are polls. You know how we are with polls. Some are good, some are not so good. It's hard to tell. They polled, this would be Real Clear Politics, polled 2,122 registered voters. 40% of, just over 40% of them said that starting next year, they would prefer a virtual option or homeschool option for their child. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of parents in the United States. That a lot of people might say, well, that's less than half. That's 4 out of 10, 2 out of 5, however you want to put it. But that's a lot of people that are considering something along those lines. Now, how that pans out locally, we're not just sure yet. We here at the News are going to run our own poll on that, but it is an interesting national poll. Now, again, the Livingston Parish school system is working on their own virtual offering for some folks who have been in homeschooling their kids and doing that sort of thing. This is to try to recapture some of those folks. I mean, they are paying property taxes, so they are, contributing to the system. So the school system's trying to give back. So that program may become more popular starting next year. It's going to be interesting to see how things go moving forward, especially since there are a lot of people. There's a lot of different groups out there right now. There are a whole lot of people who think this is, dare I say, fake. There are a lot of people out there who are saying it may be treating this a little more harshly than they should. And then there's a lot of folks in the middle who are saying, well, there are dangers. Maybe we overreacted. Maybe we didn't. I'm not real sure. But this thing is nasty. Sending my kid to school might not be the best thing for my family. Maybe it's best that they are homeschooled. While things change. It's very interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how the school board adjusts and adapts things like their sanitation process over the summer, gearing up for next year. And right now, we're not entirely sure even when graduation will occur for these seniors, much less what's going to happen next year for kids. So it's going to be interesting as we move forward. It's still, amazingly enough, 2 months into it, it's still a fluid situation. Will probably continue to be fluid for some time as things change and adjust. So keep your eyes on that. We're going to be releasing a poll to kind of see how, test the waters with local people, see how they feel about school moving forward. Some good news before we get back into a little wrap up here. Principal Brian Wax from Denham Springs Junior High is one of 25 semifinalists for State Principal of the Year. So congratulations to Mr. Brian Wax. Again, that's another one of those where they usually have a large gathering over the summer to have a presentation. Not entirely sure how that's going to happen this year, but we will keep an eye on it. Want to remind folks of the mitigation efforts real quick. Wash your hands with soap and water for 20 seconds or more. Disinfect common surfaces at home and at the office. Wear a mask in public if at all possible. Don't touch your face. Control your cough or your sneeze with an elbow or a tissue. 6 feet of distance between yourself and others in public. 10 or less to a gathering, preferably less. Stay home to work if at all possible. And stay home if you are sick, and utilize telehealth to get in touch with your doctor. Want to remind folks, looking relatively clear with the traffic. Minor delays at 190 4H Club Road and River Road. Minor delays at 190 in Range. Minor delays on 64 heading into Central. Some delays on the on-ramps, but I-12 looking relatively clear. It's currently 66 degrees. 83 degrees is your high. 64 degrees your overnight low. Going to be sunny today. Also, before we get into the wrap-up, please remember, get a game plan. Moving slowly but steadily towards hurricane season. Starts June 1st. Already a disturbance in the Atlantic. So they're predicting, again, an active season with upwards of 3 to 4 major storms. So please get a game plan. Stay in touch with your local media, the National Weather Service out of New Orleans. Try to make sure that you are getting informed. Please remember that the parish waterways are currently closed due to high water from the heavy rains at the end of last week and over the weekend. Want to remind folks, LP, Livingston Parish, that would be 348 COVID-19 cases, 25 deaths, 4,200. I don't know why that was so hard to say. 4,200 tests. 34,432 cases statewide. 22,608 recoveries. 265,000 tests, 1,019 hospitalized, 111 ventilators, 2,425 deaths. One last time, my name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. Appreciate you guys joining us this morning for the Livingston Parish News Morning Show. Please remember you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, or YouTube. We are once a week in print on Thursdays at $7 a month, and it comes straight to your mailbox. We are also online. Of course, we put these shows on our podcast page. We have a coronavirus page, which is free, and normally it's about $5 a month for an online subscription, $7 for the e-edition. We do hope you have a great day as we have this first Monday in the phase one of the economic reopening, I guess you can say, with some of those businesses trying to get back to biz, I guess is the phrase, at about 25% capacity. Want to remind folks the contact tracing has a number, 877-766-2130. Treat that number how you will. Hope you have a great day. It is going to be a beautiful day, and we will be back with you tomorrow morning.